What if I told you there was a hockey player who played so long and remained so good that he was still skating in professional games at 51 years old? A player who started his career when the Berlin Wall was still standing, yet continued playing long after smartphones became common. While most hockey players retire in their mid-30s, this man dominated the ice for over 3 decades, becoming the most successful European player in NHL history. He scored goals against goalies who weren't even born when he started playing. This player is, of course, none other than Jaromir Jagr. In a sport where speed and youth rule the game, he rewrote what was possible for an aging athlete. He didn't just survive, he thrived. Amazing fans and fellow players with his incredible skills well into his 40s and beyond. To find out how he was able to become one of the greatest hockey players of all time, with a career spanning over 3 decades, we need to go back to Kladno, Czechoslovakia in the early 80s. Growing up behind the Iron Curtain, young Jagr would wake up at 4 a.m. every morning to train before school. His father, also named Jaromir, owned the only tractor in town and turned their farm into a personal training ground. Young Jagr would spend hours carrying heavy weights up hills and doing squats while holding buckets of water, exercises that would later become famous as Jagr's training secrets. While other kids played normal hockey, Jagr was building the strength and endurance that would let him play professional hockey well into his 50s. But before we dive into how a kid from a small Czech town became hockey's most enduring legend, take a quick second to hit that subscribe button. Just like Jagr never missed a practice, you won't want to miss any of our upcoming stories about hockey's greatest players. Throughout his early years in Kladno, Jagr didn't just dream about hockey, he lived it. While most kids had to follow strict communist rules about when and where they could play sports, Jagr's father made sure his training never stopped. He encouraged his son to train harder than anyone else, often reminding him, if you want to be the best, you must train when others are sleeping. Just 15 years old, Jagr was already playing against grown men in Kladno's top team. While other players his age were still in youth leagues, he was scoring goals against professionals twice his size. His coaches couldn't believe what they were seeing. A teenager who could outskate and outmuscle veteran players. What made him truly special wasn't just his skill, but his unique playing style. He would protect the puck by turning his back to defenders using his large frame to shield it, a move that would later become known as the Jagr Shield. In 1988, at barely 16 years old, he became the youngest player ever to play in Czechoslovakia top professional league. Communist rules restricted athletes from playing professionally until they were 18, but his team secured special permission from the government. His first goal came in his 4th game, making him the youngest goal scorer in league history. Despite the Iron Curtain making it difficult for Western scouts to watch him play, stories about the teenage phenom from Kladno spread. One Canadian scout who managed to see him play wrote in his report, "He's not just good for his age, he's already better than most professional players I've ever seen." His father also taught him another lesson that would shape his entire career, the importance of taking care of his body. While other teenagers hung out after practice, Jagr was doing extra workouts, stretching, and studying games on tape. This dedication to fitness and preparation became the foundation for his incredible longevity in the sport. In 1990, just as the Iron Curtain was falling, Jagr's NHL journey began. The Pittsburgh Penguins picked him 5th overall in the draft, though many teams were still nervous about selecting European players. Landing in Pittsburgh was like stepping into another world for Jagr. He didn't speak English, had never eaten American food, and had just $500 in his pocket. All he had was a backpack with some clothes and his hockey gear. But he did have one huge advantage. He was joining a team with Mario Lemieux, one of the best players in hockey at the time. Lemieux took the young Jagr under his wing in a way few expected. Instead of living with a host family like most young players, Jagr moved in with Lemieux himself. This was rare, the biggest star in hockey sharing his home with a rookie who could barely speak English. But Lemieux saw something special in Jagr. Their daily routine became legendary. Lemieux would drive them to practice, with Jagr trying to learn English by listening to American radio. After practice, they would stay on the ice for hours, with Lemieux teaching Jagr the small tricks that made him great. "Mario didn't just teach me hockey," Jagr would later say. "He taught me how to be a professional." The results showed quickly. In his rookie season, while other players his age were still in junior hockey, Jagr scored 27 goals. But what really caught everyone's attention was how he scored them. He had a unique ability to protect the puck by using his body, a skill that made him tough to defend against. NHL defenders, used to playing against smaller European players, didn't know how to handle this 6'3" teenager who could shield the puck like a veteran. Then came the 1991 playoffs. The Penguins, led by Lemieux, were chasing their first Stanley Cup. Jagr, still just 19, made one of the most memorable plays in NHL history. In Game 5 against Boston, he took the puck at center ice, split two defenders, and scored a goal that left everyone speechless. The Penguins went on to win their first Stanley Cup, making Jagr one of the youngest European players ever to win hockey's biggest prize. The next season was even better. The Penguins dominated the league, and Jagr was no longer just the kid who lives with Lemieux. He was becoming a star in his own right. In the 1992 playoffs, the Penguins won another Stanley Cup, and this time Jagr played a key role. He scored 24 points in 21 playoff games, proving that the teenager from Kladno could deliver under pressure. By his third season, Jagr wasn't just surviving in the NHL, he was thriving. His combination of size, skill, and his signature move, the Jagr Shield, was changing how teams thought about European players. He wasn't the typical fast but small European forward. He was something new, a power forward with European skill. Someone who could score beautiful goals, but also overpower defenders physically. As the mid-1990s arrived, Jagr faced his biggest challenge yet. Mario Lemieux, his mentor and teammate, announced he needed to step away from hockey due to health issues. Suddenly, the 23-year-old Jagr wasn't just another star player. He was handed the C and became captain of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The hockey world wondered if he could handle leading one of the NHL's best teams. Jagr didn't just handle it, he dominated. From 1995 to 2001, he won 4 scoring titles in a row, something only Wayne Gretzky had done before him. During the 1995-96 season, he scored 149 points, making defenders look silly night after night. His mullet flowing behind him as he skated became the most feared sight in hockey. One defender said, "When Jagr gets the puck in the corner, you might as well just wait for him to score. There's no stopping him." But what made Jagr special wasn't just his scoring. He adapted as teams tried to stop him. He developed new moves, like his famous power spin, where he would spin away from Czechs while protecting the puck. "You have to keep changing," Jagr said. "The moment you stop changing, the game passes you by." His time in Pittsburgh ended in 2001 and then began what fans call Jagr's World Tour. He played for the Capitals, scoring 79 points in his first season. A down year for him, but a career year for most players. Then came the Rangers, where at age 34, when most players start slowing down, he put up 123 points, his best total in 6 years. What amazed other players wasn't just that Jagr kept scoring, it was how he did it. As he got older, he stopped trying to outskate everyone and instead used his brain more. He would study video of goalies for hours, learning their smallest habits. He even started practicing with weights attached to his stick, saying, "If I can score with a heavy stick, imagine how easy it is with a normal one." Then came the biggest surprise. At age 36, when most players retire, Jagr left for Russia's KHL league. Everyone thought his NHL career was over, but 3 years later, he came back to the NHL and proved he could still play at the highest level. At the Philadelphia Flyers, he scored 54 points at age 39. The next year, with the Dallas Stars and Boston Bruins, he helped Boston reach the Stanley Cup Finals at age 41. Even as his hair turned gray under his helmet, Jagr kept adapting. He changed his famous training routine, adding yoga and late-night skating sessions when arenas were empty. "Young guys are faster than me now," he admitted, "but I know where the puck is going before they do." His most impressive achievement came during his time with the Florida Panthers. At age 44, when most players had been retired for a decade, he led the Panthers in scoring and helped them make the playoffs. He wasn't just hanging on, he was still one of the best players on his team. What made this late career success possible? Jagr's unique training methods became legendary. He would put on a weighted vest and skate after everyone else had gone home. One teammate in Florida said, "We'd leave the rink at 11 p.m. and Jagr would still be there, skating with weights on his ankles, working on the same move over and over." By the time he reached his mid-40s, Jagr had developed a playing style no one had seen before. He couldn't outrace young players anymore, but he didn't need to. He used his body positioning, learned back on that farm in Kladno, to protect the puck better than anyone. Defenders would bounce off him while he calmly waited for his teammates to get open. He became a master at slowing the game down in a league that was getting faster every year. In 2017, at age 45, most people thought Jagr's NHL career was finally over when he returned to Europe. But for Jagr, this wasn't retirement, it was just another chapter. He went back to the team where it all started, HC Kladno, but this time as both player and owner. His first game back, the small arena was packed with fans who had waited decades to see their hometown hero return. What made this even more special was that HC Kladno wasn't just any team, it was struggling to stay in the top Czech league. Jagr didn't just play for the team, he saved it. When they needed money, he used his NHL earnings to keep the team running. When they needed inspiration, he would score crucial goals despite being the oldest player in the league by far. In 2020, something incredible happened. At age 48, Jagr led Kladno back to the top Czech league. He wasn't just the owner celebrating in a suit, he was on the ice, playing key minutes and scoring important goals. After the final game, he told reporters, "People ask me why I still play. I tell them I have to. This team is my responsibility." Even as he turned 50, Jagr kept adding to his remarkable achievements. By this point, Jagr had played a remarkable number of professional hockey games, ranking 4th in NHL all-time games played with 1,733 regular season appearances. His combined points from the NHL, KHL, and Czech leagues totaled over 2,000, a testament to his enduring skill and consistency. Perhaps his most impressive record is that he played professional hockey in 5 different decades. The numbers tell an amazing story. 1,733 NHL games, 766 goals, 1,155 assists, 5 scoring titles, and 2 Stanley Cups. He became only the second player after Wayne Gretzky to score more than 1,900 points in the NHL. He played so long that he eventually faced off against the sons of players he competed against in his rookie year. As he often said, age is just a number. What matters is how much you want it. What made Jagr truly special wasn't just what fans saw during games, it was the little things nobody saw. Between periods, while other players rested, he would do squats in the locker room. He had a special exercise bike, modified to create extra resistance. His pre-game meal was always the same, a submarine sandwich exactly 4 hours before puck drop. But perhaps his most unusual training secret was his late-night shadow hockey. He would stand in front of a mirror for hours, practicing puck-handling moves without a puck. "The mirror never lies," he would say. "It shows you exactly what opponents see." In practice, he never allowed himself water breaks during drills. Instead, he would do extra loops around the ice while others rested. When teammates asked why, he'd say, "In a game, there's no timeout when you're tired." He changed how teams looked at older players. Before Jagr, teams rarely offered long contracts to players over 35, but his success made teams rethink age limits. As one general manager said, "Jagr made us realize it's not about age, it's about dedication." In Czech hockey culture, he revolutionized player development. He introduced new training technologies to Czech teams and created youth programs that combined European skill development with North American physical training. His biggest impact might have been psychological. He showed that players from smaller hockey countries could dominate the NHL, inspiring a whole generation of European players. As Finnish star Timo Selänne once said, Jagr didn't just open doors for European players, he knocked them down completely. But on the other side of the ice, do you want to learn about a player who dominated the game in a completely different way? A player who rewrote the record books not through longevity, but through pure unstoppable scoring ability? Then click the video on your screen to find out how Wayne Gretzky did exactly that. And if you enjoyed this story of the ageless wonder, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and tell us in the comments your favorite Jagr moment.